It's time for
DodgerHeads.
high fly ball into right field. Hey, Dodgers have won it all in 2020. Shohei Otani, 50-50 club. Strikes him out. There's a drive. Shohei Otani. Freeman hits the ball. She is gone. Birthday party, Los Angeles. Your Dodgers have won the World Series.
What's up, everybody? Welcome into DodgerHeads Live, presented by DodgerBlue.com, part of the Medium Large Sports Network. My name is Jeff Spiegel, joined tonight by Matthew Moreno and Anthony Witrado, here to break down and react to Game 1, preview Game 2, as well as share some news and notes and updates from the off day. But Matt, I'll start with you. 24 hours later, a huge Game 1, come from behind victory in Philadelphia. How we feeling?
Yeah, I mean, I think there's plenty of reasons to be optimistic. Obviously, I think heading into, a series like this when you don't have home field advantage, the goal is to kind of always, steal one, if you will. One of the first two, and the Dodgers, did that almost in the literal sense, maybe too literally. If you ask, with Andy Pages possibly relaying some stuff from second base, I know we'll get into that. But yeah, it was getting a little close for the Dodgers there, and then Teoscar Hernández, makes up for there seems to be his recipe where if there's some, people upset for his play in right field, he comes back in that game with a home run.
Yeah, Anthony, this off day has been great to just sort of savor the victory of last night. We didn't have to flush it and move on so quickly. So I've been on cloud nine all of Sunday, I think.
Yeah, it's been a really good Sunday. The baby girl's birthday was today. We had the party yesterday, so I had to watch the game while on location at a birthday party for her. And then today was her actual birthday, so we did that whole thing. So yeah, it was nice to not have to worry about another game today, and just sort of take the whole day to savor it and watch these other games and know that your team's up 1-0. That's a good feeling.
Yeah. That in my family, by the way, Anthony, our daughters have coined the phrase early birthday. So they get the day before their birthday and their actual birthday. It's like a Christmas Eve situation. Christmas Eve's a holiday. So the day before your birthday in my family, all girls, it's a holiday as well.
For the girls in my family, my daughter, my wife, my mother-in-law, they claim birthday weeks.
I was going to say week, I feel like you're still getting off easy because I know some people that get birthday months. So
yeah, right.
Derek wants to know
Matt.
if there a jumpy castle, Anthony.
What's that?
I said Derek wants to know if there was a jumpy castle at this birthday party.
There was not a jumping. Actually, there was a jumping castle. It was we had it we used to, the first 2 years, we just did it in our backyard because we had built our home. And so the backyard was nice and new. And so, we were using it, which turns out to be more expensive than just renting out a venue. Right. And so this year we took her to it's one of those playground type places where they got all kinds of little obstacle courses and all that stuff. So she turned 3, so she's old enough to really enjoy it now. So yeah, that's what we did for her.
What Anthony's not telling us is, and sources can confirm, is the bouncy castle, he got in it after the Dodgers won, and so all the kids had to get out because Anthony took it over to celebrate.
I bounced them out. I was jumping
okay.
After Teo hit that home run. I ran in there and just cannonballed right on it, and they all went flying.
I love it. I love it. Well, we got lots to get to tonight. As always, thank you to folks joining us live on Facebook, on YouTube, on Twitter, those listening after the fact via podcast, Apple, Spotify, and Google. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. We got a couple super chats. We'll start the show there. Baseball Geek with the big one. Do you have any concern after watching Polanco hit 2 home runs off Skubal? Although I believe Snell and Yamamoto look like a great situation, what are your biggest concerns other than the bullpen? I'll answer the second part first and then pass this off. There are no other concerns other than the Dodgers bullpen right now. The offense has been pretty good. The starting pitching has been fantastic. It's just the bullpen. But Matt, are you concerned at all about a possible letdown for Blake Snell, as to Baseball Geek's point we've seen in some other series so far?
Yeah, that's what, Anthony and I ironically were just talking about this as we were getting ready to do the show. That's my concern is look like that, the Dodgers starting rotation has certainly upheld their end of the bargain so far, and it's been needed. And the Dodgers, you guys have emphasized it on your shows, and when I've been on, I've agreed, like they're going to need starting pitching to basically carry them through October this time around. My worry there, and we're seeing it tonight, last check I saw, it was 2-0 Mariners, still is like you could have, a great starting pitcher type thing, and you could still lose 2-0, 2-1, 3-1, stuff like that. So sure, like I think that's always a concern. I don't know if that were to happen tomorrow night with Blake Snell and the Dodgers, that it would be a quote unquote letdown. I mean, sometimes like the as Mookie Betts likes to say, the other guys, they drive a Benz too. So there's a reason that these teams are in the postseason and things can happen, unfortunately.
Yeah, Anthony, how are you? I mean, we're going to dive a little bit deeper into game number 2, but there's definitely a part of me that's like, hey, you got your 1, so I'd love to get game 2, but the pressure doesn't feel necessarily as high. On the flip side, you obviously play to win every single game, and they're set up nicely. So it's not like last year where you're having to pick and choose your punting moments, because this team is ready to go.
I think you go for the throat here.
For sure. You
manage aggressively. You use your bullpen aggressively if you need to, which is what I thought Dave did last night. Yeah. I thought that from a bullpen deployment standpoint, he was perfect.
Yeah.
Some questions, but the results were there. And I also thought the process was really good. And so I think you keep that same sense of urgency. Yeah. You have they're in as good as a possible position, without like game 2 being at home.
Totally.
And you have the guy who started your previous game 1 going for you, and with an off day the following day. So I think you manage this thing aggressively as hell. You try to go get both in Philly.
Totally. And I love this from Aaron. He says, feel really good about the team. Game 1 was the only game where you could argue we didn't have the starting pitching advantage. We still won. Love where we are at. And I think this is spot on. And I'm not going to argue about whether it was Otani or Sanchez who's the better pitcher, because Snell is a better pitcher than Lazardo, and Yamamoto is a better pitcher than Suarez. And so the Dodgers definitely do have a starting pitching advantage moving forward, which is to the point that I was making earlier, Matt, was yes, the Dodgers have got their 1. And so it would be easy to say, okay, just plan for 3 and 4 in Los Angeles, win those 2, and it's over. But they were more underdogs in game 1 than they will be in game 2. And so if you can go out and get this one and just jump on this thing, knowing that your bullpen could combust at any moment, it feels like, I imagine this team will not let any sense of urgency sort of fly out of the balloon.
Yeah, and Dave Roberts was asked about that today in, the interview that we have up on our YouTube channel. And he said, the off day does afford the Dodgers an opportunity to reset their bullpen, if you will, and everybody outside of Tyler Glasnow is available again. And of note, I know we're going to get into Roki Sasaki later. Like, Roki Sasaki is in that boat, and Dave Roberts specifically, he was asked about it, and he reminded the reporter that the Dodgers did do the two appearances in 3 days at the end of the regular season to kind of do a test run, and so they know that box has been checked. My guess is if Roki Sasaki is needed in game 2, that you will see him on the mound again.
Yeah, and 11 pitches didn't hurt either on that one. Cordana says, I was at yesterday's game. Great win. Was being heckled all game until Teo's homer. Only Dodger in section. Keektober is still alive. Roki looked electric. Matt, I see this mark. I know it says Keektober, but I'm just being kind because some people that run our social media accounts have confused people about how to spell Keektober. And so I'm just trying to help people out here, Matt. That's all. I did have a couple people real quick, Matt, because apparently you're the authority when it comes to October postseasons. Is it Roketober that we're going with, or is it hold on, I had it in my head. Is it October or Roketober?
Oh my gosh.
It's definitely Roketober. I don't know what that other one is.
It sounds like a dog.
It's just like you can't, it's like just 3 letters and then Tober. I think if you could find a way to get Roke in the back end of it, I'm just trying to mix things up a little bit. It's Belltober, Keektober, Roketober. Like we just, in front of every Otober for Otani. What else we got here, Matt?
No, that one's Showtober.
Showtober. Oh, excuse me. A different 3 letters at the beginning. So yes. I'm just trying to bring some variety into the world. That's all I'm saying. Lucas and Sadie Show says they beat their best on the road. Talk about the drop off in Phillies game 2 and game 3 starters. We are going to sweep. I will say their pitchers are good in game 2 and game 3. They're just not guys that are going to finish in the top 3 of Cy Young voting like they had in game number 1. So I would honestly, it's probably comparable to like the guys that they were scheduled to face against the Reds. A Hunter Green type is what I would say, what they've got going forward. So I'm not ready to say they're going to sweep, but I feel good about Dodgers in 4 was my prediction. Matt, I'll remind everybody, said Phillies in 5. Anthony, did you put an official prediction on the record?
I didn't. I did on a radio show that I was on though, and I said Dodgers in 4.
Okay.
I think they stole the game that they were going to lose.
Yeah.
That's sort of how I'm looking at this. I think a sweep is totally on the table. I'm not as high on Phillies pitching outside of what we saw last night as you are. From a run prevention standpoint, like some of the underlying numbers are okay, but like the game 2 starters, his ERA is nearly 4. Like they're not bad. They're good, but they're not like they don't strike fear into anybody, I don't think. And I think considering losing game 1 at home, the leash on these guys is going to be pretty short. And I think if you can get them in some trouble, like let's say in the 3rd inning, you run the pinch count up a little bit, get a couple of guys on, you might get into that. You might dip into that bullpen early, especially with the day off today and the day off following game 2. So I think you can really start to jumble up what the Phillies' plan is. Like was it Mike Tyson who said, everyone has a plan so you get punched in the mouth. I think if they can punch the Phillies in the mouth quickly, you might start to see things unravel a little bit in terms of like they're going to be on to plan F in a hurry. And so I think considering that, like, had they lost that game 1, the Dodgers, you're thinking, all right, let's just go get game 2 and we'll reset and get it back home and we'll be okay. I think now they got a significant starting pitching advantage in the next 2 games. And aside from that, I think going into this series, and I know I'm rambling a little bit, but I'll end on this point. I think the way this weird schedule is for the NLDS, going into the series really benefited the Phillies because they only have really 3 guys that they probably trust. And I've been talking to some of their beat guys, and they're like, look, they trust like 2.5 maybe.
Okay.
And so these off days allow them to throw Sanchez in 2 games and before game 5. So, he can possibly go in game 4. I think what it does though for the Dodgers as well is because they don't trust their pen.
Yeah, exactly.
It allows them to reset their bullpen, which for them is way more important. For the Phillies, that's the rotation. For the Dodgers, it's allowing a guy like Roki to throw again, right? It's allowing basically everybody to come back except for Glasnow. And I think considering where these 2 teams are and what the starting pitching is for the Dodgers already, the advantage might be to the Dodgers here now.
Yeah, Matt and I talked about this when we did the roster release show. And I still think it's advantage Phillies because if the series was shorter and they needed to find a 4th starter, I think it would be like a monumental gap between what the Dodgers are going to be throwing in Glasnow versus Aaron Nola or Walker Buehler. However, the point we also made was the Dodgers can basically pick 3 or 4 relievers that they like and just throw those guys every single game in this series because there's only 1 back-to-back and there's never a 3-game set. Now, you don't want Roki to face these guys 5 times if it goes 5, but if you can get away with basically Vesia, Treinen, Roki, Sasaki, and like maybe mixing in 1.5 other guys throughout this series, then to your point, Anthony, I think that's where the Dodgers' advantage lies.
Yeah, for sure. And I think I think that advantage, and I understand what you're saying, but I think that, if it was 55-45 advantage Phillies with the schedule, I think that has flipped now because if Blake Snell wins game 2, the Dodgers win game 2, you're now starting to look at like, do we need to bring Sanchez back? And then your advantage is totally nullified. Yeah. And it's gone. And so, I don't like the schedule, but given the state of the Dodgers, I was okay with it because I thought they were going to need it. And that's stealing a game that it really felt like they should have lost. really, I think, changes the usage in this series from a lot of different standpoints.
Yeah, absolutely. Jonathan has an idea here, Matt. What do you think about October Oki? You're out on that one too?
Probably. I did see, I think people were saying Sasaki-tober or something. I think Sasaki-tober. I think that could work, but I still am more partial towards Roke-tober for that one.
We're jumping the shark here.
Yeah. River says, did you guys notice the massive decline in at-bat quality for Shohei since he pitched yesterday? Poor guy was exhausted. Yes. I mean, it's hard to say it's exhaustion because his first at-bat looked really bad too, and I don't think he was tired at that point in the game. But, I think it's easy to connect the dots here, Matt, between him pitching and him striking out 4 times in the same day. But regardless, it wasn't good.
Yeah, and this was something Dave Roberts touched on as well, and he did say, it's reasonable. First, he gave credit also to Christopher Sanchez. He said he's a great pitcher, and that was a factor as well. And then he said the reality is yes, like Otani pitching first playoff start of his career, just pitching in the playoffs period, like that probably had to have impacted him at the plate, and it's understandable, as great as Otani is. And I think, Jeff, on our show I said he's not a machine, he's not a robot, even though there are a lot of times where it feels that way. Ultimately he is human at the end of the day, and that is something that's kind of a trade-off, if you will. But you look at his start and it's 6 innings at worst type thing, and if you want to factor in 3 runs, how much of those were really on him? Yes, he gave up the hit, but if that ball is cut off, that inning is possibly you're potentially looking at just 1 run for the Phillies over 6 innings. And that line, if you just look at the line and you didn't watch the game the way we did using the eye test, you would say, you would come across thinking oh, he did really well. Whereas now it's the 3 runs, was it kind of bad? Was there some good, this and that? So yeah, the good news is he's not pitching again until a potential game 5, and so he can focus on now hitting these next 2 games. And look, the Phillies are running lefty starters still in this series, so it's not to say that Otani's not going to strike out again. I think we've seen, how many times were we doing live shows where people were upset because Otani was striking out? He does also sometimes fall into these little lulls, and you just hope that game 1 was more about the fact that he was also pitching rather than maybe being in a slump.
I think he was also facing, from a starting pitcher standpoint, about as tough a matchup as he could face in the National League.
Yeah, absolutely. Mariners blew the 2-0 lead and just regained the lead with back-to-back doubles, by the way, in the bottom of the 8th. So shout out to my brethren from the Pacific Northwest. I do want to talk about the game from yesterday. There's a conversation I got to have with Steven Nelson today that we'll be posting tomorrow. So small teaser there for the Dodger Blue 1958 YouTube page. If you're not already subscribed, go ahead, subscribe, ring the notification bell. Steven Nelson, as usual, was awesome. But as we talked it out, I realized, Matt, that yesterday to me was like a perfect encapsulation of what makes the Dodgers so special beyond the easy headline of the spending. Because the reality was their 3 best players were 1 for 12 yesterday. And the Phillies' 3 best players were also not very good in this series. But the Dodgers, if I had to boil down 3 keys that separated them and why they won yesterday, this is what I would say they are. The first one was the depth. It was the fact that the bottom of their lineup beat the bottom of the Phillies lineup in this game. Secondly, it was the development. The fact that they turned Roki Sasaki back into a superstar on the backfields of Camelback Ranch 4 weeks ago, that's a Dodgers thing. That's not other organizations that I would trust to be able to figure that out. And the third thing, Anthony, is something you referenced. It's Dave Roberts. He pulled all of the strings correctly. And I know a lot of people don't like Dave, but guess what he did? He got aggressive and they put Glasnow in the bullpen. He asked him to get 5 outs. And then he didn't go to Tanner Scott. He didn't go to not trustworthy, but old used to be reliables. He went to Roki Sasaki and he went to Alex Vesia, and they got the job done. And so, yes, they spend a lot of money, and Otani was great on the mound. But the reason they won yesterday was not because of that. It's because of depth. It was because of development, and it was because of Dave Roberts. And to me, Anthony, that was the organizational victory for the Dodgers last night.
Yeah, I think that's a really fair assessment of it. You can also throw in there the pursuit of a guy like Roki Sasaki and being able to land him, right? I think when you say an organizational win, I think it goes all the way back to the winter.
Yeah, totally.
And so Yeah, I couldn't agree with you there more. And I do think that like a guy like him with the struggles that he went through, I mean, up until like a month ago, even I remember when he was in OKC and we were like, yeah, this guy's cooked. Like save him for 20. I said it on this show. Like, we'll see you in 26, bud. Like, come back better.
Yeah.
And to his credit and to the organization's credit, they made the correct adjustments and got him to not just be a useful player on a big league roster now, but like a critical piece to them moving on and advancing in this thing. So yeah, kudos to a lot of people here, but I just think depth all around has really allowed them to do what they're doing, right? Like, part of the reason Tyler Glasnow was able to be in there was because of depth.
Yeah, exactly.
And the same kind of situation with Roki too. And you talk about guys like Poise and Kike and those kinds of guys who are not this big superstar headline grabbing players on this team, but it came through with huge contributions last night that helped this team win. So yeah, I think organizationally and from a depth perspective, they're just better than and not just the Phillies, like everybody.
Well, and I think the other word that maybe I should have included in there, Matt, was patience. This organization is like to a fault patient with guys. And when I talk about that, I'm talking about Teoscar Hernández, who on September 8th for the season was hitting .239 with a .277 on-base percentage and was awful defensively. And Kike Hernández, who was a terrible baseball player for most of the 2025 season. But this organization is patient, and they trust that guys who have performed under the bright lights are going to continue to perform under the bright lights. Matt, when I look at this, I don't think there are a ton of other organizations that would have stood by Teoscar Hernández the way the Dodgers did. I definitely don't think there were a ton of organizations that would have stood by Kike Hernández the way that the Dodgers did. But again, this is a hallmark of this organization, and on nights like last night, it's why they win.
Yeah, and all those reasons you laid out are why, my gut pick was the Dodgers in 5 when we did the roster show. So that all checks out.
Straight out of somebody else's playbook.
That all checks.
Move the goalposts.
Your brain was saying Phillies though, right?
I don't remember, to be honest. I remember saying
What's
Dodgers.
That say about your brain?
I remember it's been a long week, Anthony, since the playoffs have started. I'll leave it at that. The Kike question. I think the Dodgers, they know what it is. And I know what it is. I think the three of us know what it is. There are some people who don't know what it is, and I can't help them. Like, you just need to, like, if you have not been convinced that Kike Hernández is capable of having the worst season you might see from a player and just turning it on in October, like, he's done it time and time again. So it is basically to be expected at this point.
Yeah.
The Teoscar Hernández one was definitely like, you saw what he did in the playoffs last year, fine, but it was all like, it's his first season with, like, there isn't that track record with the in general. Like, he hasn't been to the playoffs as many times as Kike has, and that's not a knock on him. Obviously, Kike is the first to admit, like, a lot of my success is because I've been on teams getting to the postseason. So, yeah, to Teoscar Hernández's credit, we are now seeing he is falling into that same boat of like, okay, even if maybe he doesn't have a good regular season, he looks to be a player who's not afraid of the moment. The bright lights aren't going to affect him. Maybe a little foot speed might be affected perhaps, but at the plate, he's going to be fine. So, stuff like that. Like, yeah, I to your point, it is game one encapsulated a lot of what the Dodgers are. And I think, again, why my gut pick was the Dodgers in 5 was because they do have a tough lineup to get through, and things like that we saw last night can happen.
Yeah, that's amazing. It's amazing how you somehow picked both the Dodgers in 5 and the Phillies in 5 at the same time. It's impressive. So
he's also trusting the gut that goes for fettuccine Alfredo on Thanksgiving.
Yeah,
hey, that's
true.
And I've always been very happy with my choice whenever I've done that. So
sounds like your gut may have let you down. Anthony, you mentioned though Dave Roberts, and it's classic managerial stuff where he gets crushed on nights when things go poorly. I think we had been accustomed, like we had been floated the idea of Tyler Glasnow in relief enough to the point that I don't think enough people are appreciating the fact that the Dodgers went out and did it. And you don't have to explain to any of us why they did it. We saw the bullpen. The bullpen stinks. And yet, with a guy like Glasnow and a lesser manager and a different team, I don't think there's a ton of people that would have pulled the trigger like Dave did who, by the way, was planning on a 3-inning save from Glasnow. This wasn't go get me like 3 outs. He was like, if things go smoothly, he's going to shut this thing down. To me, like, we need to give Dave more credit for the aggressiveness of that move and pulling the trigger when a lot of other people I don't think would.
Yeah. He managed this game once it got into a situation where he was like, we can win this game.
Yeah.
I thought he managed it like it was a game 7.
Totally. As he should.
As he should, because I think the thought process, and this was a little bit at what I was getting at earlier with where I really think they can sweep, is that I think the quick math on the back of a napkin in the dugout probably went something like, we can trust this guy to go get us 9 outs.
Yeah.
If we can get these 9 outs and win this game with Blake Snell going in game 2 and a fully rested bullpen, we may not need Tyler for game 4.
Yeah.
I really think that was part of the math there. It looks like he probably didn't throw enough to put that at risk. I think it's still going to be, he would start that game on regular rest, I think. And like, quote unquote regular for every
regular
other
rest starting from last night. I mean, because the game
starting from last
matchup
night
is going to be him against the guy who started that game for the Phillies. So to give you a sense, it's like 4 days from yesterday when he'll pitch.
Yeah. And so I think that's kind of how he thought about it and went foot on the gas.
Yeah.
Foot on the gas. And when he got in trouble, he went to his next high leverage guy and for a situational out. And even with the pinch hit appearance there, he got his job done. And then he said, you know what, we're going to trust this kid who outside of like a week and a half ago, we could not trust at all at the big league level, but let's go. And everyone that he asked to do their job did their job. And that's another part of managing these things, right? Is that these could all be the right calls. But if Tyler Glasnow would have imploded in the second inning that he went out.
If Vesia gives up a hit with the bases loaded, right? Like, forget Glasnow. He left with the bases loaded, to be fair.
Yeah, and I guess like the question was like, who else would have been besides Vesia? But like I thought the more risky decision there was, I didn't think it was risky. I thought it was the correct move. But like the more Monday morning quarterback situation, I thought would have been Glasnow going back out for more than 3 outs. And had that blown up in his face and they lost the lead, he would have been crushed. Dave Roberts would have been crushed. But I think from a process standpoint, it was the correct call.
Yeah. Yeah. And by the way, just as a side note, this matters to me. It matters to probably nobody else. When they interviewed the Phillies manager and the Reds manager and then Dave Roberts just kills those moments. Like, he is so good in the sideline reporter. He just seems happy. He seems like a good dude. And then they cut to the Phillies guy or the Reds manager, and I'm just like, my goodness, did they wheel this guy out here? Like, somebody wake me up. So anyways, means nothing other than that Dave Roberts, like this, seems like a good dude. Matt, we mentioned Roki Sasaki. Let's talk real quick. He threw 11 pitches, and 9 of them were strikes. And if there's one thing we've been asking Dodgers relievers to do, it's that. Throw freaking strikes. This guy, I'm repeating myself from an interview you'll all see tomorrow with Steven Nelson. I put this on social media. He's 23 years old. He's a rookie. He's never had a save before. He's pitching in supposedly the loudest playoff environment out there. And he comes in and he throws freaking strikes. 9 of them in 11 pitches, gives up 1 hit, gets out of it. I can't. The poise that he had, we've seen far better relievers with longer track records step onto that mound and look so small. And Roki Sasaki seemed like he gave 0 craps, like he had been doing it his entire career, and he knew he was meant to be there. And to me, that was almost more impressive than the actual results.
Yeah, and I mean, it's like our account tweeted last night, some players are built for October, and it was pictures of Kike Hernandez, Teoscar Hernández, and Roki Sasaki.
There you go.
You know, like some players just get it and are able to, rise up to the moment, not be phased. I think, we've discussed it several times. Like, I don't know if us specifically, because we don't necessarily like experience it like the WBC, like I watched it, like it as they advanced into the tournament, like it got more interesting than like some of the earlier games. But hearing like Otani and Yamamoto and Sasaki, like those guys talk about it, where they're representing their country and how much that means and what's at stake. I mean, and they have said, like, even Mookie came back and said something effective, like it is like more I forgot how he described it specifically, but basically like high pressure type environment than a World Series type thing. So in Sasaki's case, like I'm speaking for him, like this might be somewhat of a step down, right? Like he's already pitched
totally.
at a more intense level than what this is type thing. And I think just, to his credit, his upbringing, his experiences, the type of person he is just somebody who is able to handle this type of situation. I think the Dodgers knew that, and that was probably a calculus and a factor in their decision to try the switch into the bullpen late in the season of like, okay, like, it's not working as a starter right now. We're like, if you want to contribute, they obviously had a need in the bullpen. That's the other part to this. Like, it would be interesting to see if the bullpen was performing the way we expected it to. Sasaki might not even be in this group. Like, yeah, I don't know if they make that switch. I think they just say, hey, it's not working out. Like Anthony, like you said, shut it down, go into the offseason healthy. We'll retool, we'll fix some things, come back next year. So yeah, credit to him for being open to that role change and obviously seizing the opportunity up to this point.
Yeah, I think for him, real quick, Jeff, and you took the point I would have made, Matt, is that like, I don't know that he's fazed by this kind of moment that we saw him in Philly.
Clearly not. Yeah.
Yeah. And he's pitched in other massive atmospheres in his very young career. Him pitching in the WBC at that moment in his life was probably dwarfed in comparison to what last night probably felt like for him. That's what pitching for their country in Japan is for them. It's a much different thing than it is like than playing for Team USA in the WBC here, right? Like this October means so much more to those US players than the WBC does, but it's not the same for these other countries. And so, and then if you're in here with us, you probably know Roki's story about how he grew up and the tsunami in his hometown and all of that kind of stuff. So like, the guy's been through it. And yeah. I think the biggest thing for him, the people calling him soft, and Jeff, you had a really good tweet about it. I think it was today about like those people still trying to play that.
I have really good tweets every day, Anthony. So you're going to have to refresh my mind here on, which really good
way more specific. You're right. Yeah. You're right. But basically Jeff was calling out the people who were still saying that, that Roki's, soft because of what happened earlier this season. It was just the guy didn't have any confidence, and rightfully so. Like nothing he did was working, right? And I think you see a completely different person on the mound now, and his confidence gives him a different aura. This is the guy that we were excited about coming into the organization. He looks nothing like the guy that left here in April.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, one of the things I realized was, like, I'm kind of speaking out of both sides of my mouth, because on one hand, just because we haven't seen him in a big moment doesn't mean he hasn't been in a big moment. And at the same time, even if he has been in the big moment, he's 23 years old and this is new and there's a different amount of pressure and it's a different situation. And so it's both of those things of that, hey, maybe we shouldn't have been as surprised by this. And at the same time, let's appreciate that a 23-year-old has gone out there and is performing the way that, he went out there and did. So incredible stuff. And obviously the Dodgers, as we've mentioned, they have an off day. They play tomorrow, an off day. They play the next day. Then it's back-to-back. Then it's an off day. And then it's a game 5. So none of us are hoping this goes 5 because we hope the Dodgers can finish this off quicker. But, I mean, there's a realistic chance you could see Roki Sasaki pitch 4 times in this series potentially.
Yeah, real quick, couple of things. To Anthony's point of Sasaki looking different, that's something that Blake Snell specifically mentioned today when he was asked about Sasaki. And he said he looks like a different pitcher. I felt like he was a little, I don't know if he said scared or concerned about like making a mistake and hitters making him pay for that when he was a starter. But he said now like his confidence is through the roof type thing. And then the other interesting part with all of this is, as great as Sasaki has been, as valuable as he is in the bullpen, still not the Dodgers closer just yet.
Yeah, maybe.
Which I'm fine with. Look, Evan Phillips was arguably their best pitcher going into last October and did nothing during the playoffs, I think, to dispel that. And he was not their closer. Yep. They deployed him strategically as their ace in the bullpen. And I think you could see situations with Roki like that. I don't think he's strictly a 9th inning guy, because I think we've all come a long way from, maybe not all of us, but I would imagine this front office and Dave, where you lose a game and you don't throw your best weapon out of the bullpen in that game that you lose late.
Yeah.
Oh.
Well, and I mean, it's
I've come a long
interesting. It's interesting because to the point I think Matt is sort of hinting at, Sasaki faced the bottom of the Phillies order. Are you suggesting, Matt, that had that been the top of the Phillies order, we might have seen a different Dodgers pitcher coming out of the bullpen?
I think so. I mean, Dave Roberts said it last night that he was running through, like, one reason why, Otani showed bunt was because the decision to go to Sasaki was sort of late. And he was thinking, do I send Vesia back out there to at least start the ninth inning and have Blake Trinan behind him? Or do I just go to Sasaki now? And so again, and when I said he's not the closer, that was more tongue in cheek, just poking fun at, because Dave Roberts keeps getting asked every time Sasaki pitches in leverage, hey, is he the closer now? And he's not saying yes, he's not saying no. So that was more just having fun. But to answer your question in serious, show that we are, I think it was like, to Anthony's point, like he's not the set closer in the Dodgers. That's just not how they operate, and it's fine.
Yeah. The
point I thought Anthony was going to make was not all of us have come around to teams not having like I haven't come around to a team not having a set closer. I think roles and pitcher wins and all that stuff still matter.
Yeah. Well, there you go.
Not when you're throwing all starters out of the bullpen. It doesn't matter.
Yeah. Matt hasn't come around on just starting pitchers pitching every inning of in relief either. All right, let's get to some super chats. David with the huge one. There's no secret on the scouting report of the Phillies. We all watched it yesterday. Phillies have trouble with off speed. Have fun against Glasnow and Yamamoto. We know, they know. There's nothing they can do about it. David, you're getting me fired up for this one. It's like, go ahead. Good luck with this, buddy. Snell's changeup. Just be on the lookout for it tomorrow because it's basically the Christopher Sanchez changeup we had to watch all day yesterday. We get to watch Blake Snell throw that same pitch tomorrow. Ivan wants to know, Matt, what do you think Doc told Teo post-game in the locker room? Did it start with the home run or did it start with the route he took to that ball in right field, do you think?
Oh, definitely the home run. Dave Roberts is Mr. Optimistic. I mean, he's said it himself. He's an eternal optimist. So he absolutely went to the home run. He probably forgot about that play in right field.
I mean, I'm sure he did not forget about it. But
no, I'm being serious. Like, I think Dave Roberts wasn't concerned about it because, and he when he was asked about it, he did say that Teoscar and Dino made a correction on, he cited some play later in the game that worked out because of improvement they made with his positioning and this and that. I don't think Dave Roberts, honestly, after the game, I don't know how much he was truly concerned about it because I think he knew that between Teoscar Hernández and Dino Ebel and whoever, what other coaches, advanced scouts and all that they would get it corrected. And so, he's not going to spend time worrying about it.
Is Dino who coaches the outfielders?
Yes.
Okay. All right. We're just tally marks. Poor Dino, man. Poor Dino. Is that a rough? Not all things. Not everything coming up roses for that guy in 2025, huh?
Yeah. What an assignment when they go and sign Conforto and Teo to start.
Yeah. Fair. They didn't exactly give him the highest end ingredients.
Andy Pye has also improved dramatically in center field too.
Look at this. I like that. All right. Some more super chats here. I like this from the sandwich. Congratulations, Roki. You have accidentally become important at work.
That's great.
Hey, he's important. That's all that matters. Steven asks, who has better stuff as a closer, Duran or Roki? Duran looked awfully good as well, although the theatrics for Duran's entrance was unnecessary when you are behind. I do think the closer entrance should only exist when you are actually coming in for a save opportunity, right? Can we?
Boy, I'm not gonna lie, I was stunned when they did that for him. That entrance is all time so good. If you haven't seen it, look it up on YouTube or something. It is fantastic. But to do it when you're down is really stupid.
So funny. Yeah, it's the best. What do you think, though? I mean, it feels like we're getting ahead of ourselves with Roki Sasaki as good as Joan Duran, but you tell me, Anthony.
Well, there's a reason Duran is only going to be a closer, and I think Roki still has a really, really good opportunity to be a high-level starter. I think he's better, and I think after seeing what we've seen here, and it's one playoff game, I get that, but I think the stuff is very different. He looks very different. I think his place on this team has become very different, if that makes sense. Like, I think he's comfortable now. And I think that makes a huge, huge difference for people who are breaking into the big leagues. And especially when you're breaking into the big leagues from a completely different country.
Yeah.
I think, it matters even more. And so the fact that he can be comfortable walking around that clubhouse and with those teammates is a big deal for him. And so with that said, I think now the floor for Roki Sasaki is like all-star level closer. And that's the worst case scenario for him, I think, right now, because I think the ceiling is like all-star caliber starting pitcher.
Yeah. And it's the classic line, right? Relievers are just starters who can't start anymore,
It's true.
basically.
Absolutely. Yeah.
That said, if I think we can slow down a little bit, and if you needed 3 outs and your life depended on it, I still think you would take Duran over Roki Sasaki in 2025. And that's not meaning to be disrespectful to Roki. Duran's one of the 3 to 5 best closers in Major League Baseball. Roki Sasaki could very clearly be the best relief pitcher the Dodgers have and a incredibly good relief pitcher and still not be as good as Duran. So I think we can say all of these things at once. I like what you said, Anthony. The floor for Sasaki is a closer. Like Lance Brozdowski, who's been on our show a bunch, he tweeted the other day over under 32.5 saves for Roki Sasaki next year. And I think most Dodger fans laughed and said he's going to be a starter, but thank you. However, in the back pocket, if for whatever reason the starter thing doesn't totally work out, relief closers are incredibly valuable nowadays. And so it's not nothing, the fact that he has at least become this, Matt.
I think.
Yeah. Go ahead, Anthony. No, go for it.
Real quick, I think that Jeff made me think of something. I don't think it's out of the question, too, that like he is in the rotation next year, a 6-man rotation or something like that. However they plan to do this with, if everyone's healthy, is going to be very interesting. But let's say he lasts the season as a starter, but he's not a top 4 in that rotation, which he'd have to be incredible to be.
Yeah.
And then the playoffs start. And then the playoffs start, and they go, okay, here's how we're going to deploy everyone. Roki, you're the bullpen ace or the closer or whatever, right? Like he go like that could be now his thing until he is one of those top 3 guys in the rotation.
Yeah. That's what I was going to bring up. What I'm most curious to see is how long the Dodgers run out, give him another opportunity to start. Like I assume he's going into the offseason and spring training and all that as a starter. Like I don't think there's really any question about that. But how long then do you give him next season to sort of take hold in the rotation? And if it does or doesn't, like when do you say, you know what, we saw that, like assuming that he continues to succeed in the role this October.
Yeah.
Like, do you approach him at, midway point of next season and say, look, like we've given you half of this year still where it's not real. It's too bumpy. You finished last year strong in the bullpen. To Anthony's point, if we get to October, the Dodgers seem to get there every year. So assuming they get to October next year, you're probably going to be back in the bullpen again anyway. Do we just start that process now? Like that to me will be the most interesting aspect of all this is how long they give him to continue. I don't want to say experimenting as a starter, but to try to, really take hold of a rotation spot.
Well, and look, there's a world where when you talk about all the guys the Dodgers have as starting pitchers, and we're getting way ahead of this, but from a health, like if guys get healthy as expected, you're going to have the top 4 this year. You're going to have Emmett Sheehan. You're going to have Gavin Stone back. You're going to have River Ryan back. You could stretch out Robleski. You could stretch out Kasparius, and you could stretch out Sasaki. Kyle Hurt, probably more of a reliever, but he was a guy that was a star. I'm just saying, like, there's a world where they get to the end and say, okay, we like those 4. Emmett Sheehan was one of the best pitchers in Major League Baseball for the last, month and a half, 2 months when he was starting. And then you just, Gavin Stone, as good as he was. You could find 6 starters and then maybe say to Roki, hey, we're going to have you in the bullpen and maybe we'll stretch you out. Or, I don't know. I'm just saying I think there's a lot of ways this plays out where Roki's ceiling is higher than a Gavin Stone's is. But I don't think, it's a surefire thing he's going to be in the 6-man rotation either.
Yeah, I think that's fair. I think, though, to answer the longer-term question that Matt brought up, he's the type of talent that you do everything possible to give him every chance to succeed as a starter.
100%.
And so to your point about if it's quote unquote not working out or not going well next year, come end of July, let's say, what do they do with him? I think it would have to be really bad.
Yeah.
Again, to the point where they were going to be we're going to have to send you down or something like that. If he's got a 3.8 ERA or something like that, he's going to stay in the rotation. That's not to say he'll start in the postseason. I think they'll move him back to the bullpen. But I think long term, they see this guy as part of their future rotation. And I don't think they're going to do anything to jeopardize that. And I don't think letting him know you are not one of the top 4 guys. That's right, because they're going to again have Snell and Otani and Glasnow and Yamamoto back all next season.
Yeah.
I don't think it's like a super huge knock on a guy to go, okay, you're not one of those guys, so now you're going to be our elite weapon in the bullpen when the playoffs start.
I think here, I figured it out. I boiled it all down as Anthony was talking. I realized what's going to end up happening. Sasaki's in the rotation until the Dodgers go and get Paul Skeens. And then once Paul Skeens comes, then Sasaki goes to the bullpen.
Okay, there you go. That's why Matt gets paid the big bucks. There you
Yes.
go.
It's true.
David says, do y'all remember what 23-year-old Otani looked like? The answer is no in my book, but I'll take your word for it. Go look for pictures.
The Angels.
Yeah, go look for pictures when he signed with the Angels. Sasaki is going to be a beast in 3 years. Plus, I bet he's going to learn more pitches. Look, nobody is doubting the potential that Sasaki has. And I would say on this show, I don't think anybody ever doubted the long-term potential. We were just skeptical about 2025. And talking to Rob Hill, it sounds like the Dodgers were skeptical about 2025. So Aaron says, Dave was forced to punt games last year. Now he's being so aggressive this postseason. I think he has been great so far. October. That's what some people call it, Jay Teaser says, what did you think of Philly playing Not Like Us? I did not catch this.
Yeah, I heard about this too. What a clown show. You play that song, you do Duran's entrance thing when you're losing. Come on, get it together. No wonder Dylan Hernandez is going on every show he can possibly go on and say Philadelphia sucks as a city.
He is?
Oh yeah, it's one of his running gags, and no matter who they play, I think he really believes it about Philadelphia though. And if you're doing Bush League stuff like that, it's hard to disagree with them.
Okay, let's get to a couple news and notes before we get to some questions. We teased it. Andy Pages. If you have not seen this yet, there is video that has surfaced of Andy Pages twice in the at-bat in which Teoscar Hernández homers, awkwardly raising his right arm in the air as he is standing on second base. Pages, I believe, after the game indicated that he could see into the glove of the pitcher, but claims that he was not passing signals to Teoscar Hernández. The pitcher is strongly defensive, saying there's no way this guy could have seen what pitch I was going to throw and signal it. There's also, Matt, been evidence that the 2 pitches he waved his arm on were 2 different types of pitches. If he was signaling location, Strom missed pretty badly with all of his pitches against Teoscar Hernández. So we used to play big deal or no deal. Are you going big deal or no deal with Pages awkwardly waving his right arm?
This is no deal. I mean, everybody involved seems to not really care. The only deal it is to me, look, I know what Pages said publicly, and fine. Like, I'm not going to sit here and call him a liar. What I will say is the evidence suggests that he was trying to relay something. Strom threw 2 pitches to Teoscar Hernández. Pages raised up his right arm for both pitches. I think the most likely reality was that he was, JT Realmuto was setting up inside on both of them. As you mentioned, Strom missed both times, so whatever, didn't really matter. I think Pages was at least still trying to let Teoscar know, hey, they're setting up inside, and which his right arm would be inside of Teoscar, to be fair. Right. And so I think, and that is fair within the spirit of baseball. This isn't, getting a trash can and cameras and all that stuff.
Yeah,
so let's establish that before, maybe Phillies fans potentially find our show and jump in here and kick and scream. The big deal for me is Pages, you need to be more subtle, man. There's an art to doing this type of stuff, and standing there sticking your right arm out the way he did is not the way to go about it if you're trying to do something like that.
Well, here's the thing. If he was signaling location and then Teoscar thinks the pitch is coming inside and he takes a pitch that's up and away to right center field, more power to Teoscar, because clearly giving this guy where the location is not a useful piece of information for Teoscar Hernández. But Anthony, Matt Gabe makes a good point. Either Pages is very bad at guessing what type of pitch is coming, or he's indicating location, which ended up not mattering because he missed his location so badly, or Pages just caught a weird tick at just an awkward time and things are coincidental. What do you think?
I'm not convinced that he was doing it.
Okay.
You don't think he was doing anything?
Yeah, I'm not convinced that he was. I'm not saying that he wasn't, but I don't think that the evidence or the video opinion.
Matt, some people would say his gut tells him nothing was happening and his brain tells him something was happening.
Exactly, Matt. That's exactly what I'm saying.
Now I understand. You need
now
to put
you
it
understand.
in my, yes, thank you.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yeah, I'm just not like, if you took this into a courtroom, there's a whole lot of reasonable doubt here. With that said, he could have absolutely been doing that and just been like blatant about it, and that's all fine. Whatever the answer is, it's all fine. There are also hitters who do not like to know that stuff.
100%.
Because of the reason that we just talked about. He's now going to look inside. This guy's going to try to bury me somewhere in here, and I'm going to have to get my hips open and fly open on this thing. And then the ball misses location by 13 inches, and it's up and away, and he's trying to pull it, and he rolls it over.
Yeah.
So, like, again, I'm not convinced that is what was going on here. He definitely wasn't signaling pitches.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
I think everyone agrees with that. And for the record, when I knew we were going to talk about this tonight, I was texting a buddy of mine who's been on the Phillies beat for a long time, and to kind of say, like, hey, what are they saying about this? Like, not just when the cameras were rolling, but like, what's the feeling there? And he was like, they are as adamant as possible that they don't think it was anything. And he said, at most, maybe they thought that he was giving location, but even with that, they were like, meh, kind of doesn't matter. Like, if you really want to get the location, there's a lot of ways to do that. It doesn't take a runner on second base to be able to relay that.
Yeah.
And also that what's the pitcher's name that was on the mound?
Strom.
That Strom was very adamant that potentially it was location, but the way he holds the ball in his glove, even if Pages was looking into it, that there's absolutely no way he would have known what was coming.
300 points out. Pages has some brain dead moments. It could be something or it could be nothing. But the real key here is Stanwich has settled it. He wasn't subtle, but the silver lining is Pages is awake on the base paths. So we do have that going. Maybe it's like a puzzle. They ask him to pay attention to some things just to make sure that his brain doesn't turn off for a few seconds.
Dino's yelling at him, Andy, are you awake? And he's going.
Yeah, maybe he was just waving to Dino. Maybe. That's a good point. See, this is why we talk these things through. I'm a verbal processor. Okay, Will Smith. Dave Roberts spoke to reporters today, Matt. And one of the biggest questions coming out, Will Smith gets into half of the game in game number 1. Doesn't necessarily contribute offensively, was not a liability defensively. What did Dave Roberts say about whether or not Will Smith is in his plans for game number 2?
Yeah, so when Dave was talking to us today, it was as the Dodgers were starting their workout at the stadium. And he said he hadn't had a chance to talk to him yet, but he was getting some treatment, and then he was going to go through the workout and all that stuff. And basically they were going to wait until, kind of late morning before game 2 to figure out if Smith will be in the lineup for game 2 or not, or if it'll be a similar setup where Rortvedt starts and then they pinch hit with Smith and have him play the final 4, 5, maybe 6 innings type thing. What's challenging here is prior to game 1, Will Smith hadn't played since September 9th. And obviously, there's no chance to send him out on a rehab assignment right now the way you normally would with a pitcher to come back. And considering how long he's missed, you don't want your catcher, hey, go catch 9 innings all of a sudden. Physically, that's not going to go very well. So they're trying to figure that out. Dave did say that if Will Smith comes to him tomorrow before game 2 and says, yeah, I'm good, this and that, that he would be hard pressed to not put him in the lineup because it is Will Smith. But, so that's something that they're weighing. But at the very least, I think my guess would be he's probably starting by game 3 at the latest, if not game 2. And so the most important aspect is he was able to play in game 1, seems to be doing okay. And if they do go with that same strategy, it works. You get Will Smith in for at least half the game type thing, and then he's probably full go after that.
Anthony, if Will Smith comes to Dave and says, hey, I'm good to go, I want to start today, and Dave starts him, how do you feel about that?
I don't feel bad about it, but I don't feel great about it. I'm not cheering that Will Smith is back because I don't think Will Smith that we know is going to be back.
Yeah.
I think he's going to be significantly limited in his abilities to produce. And I say that because Rortvedt has been fine. You know what I mean? Like I think
he's been like from a production perspective, and I've been his biggest critic. Yeah. He's been more than fine.
Yeah, sure. And so I think that's why I'm like, look, we got this guy who's not killing you. If Will
500
Smith,
in the playoffs,
if Will Smith is swinging one-handed, I kind of don't want him in there.
Okay.
For a few different reasons, right? They need this guy long term as a big piece of their lineup, and also like every spot in the order at some point is going to come up with in a big situation. And if Will Smith can't really swing the bat, is he doing more harm than good at a certain point? So I would imagine that Will Smith believes that he can do it if he's going to go and tell Dave something like that. So probably more positive, but I do think that this is the kind of situation where, like, if he does say that, like, let's say he starts tomorrow, we might not see him for a couple of games. You know what I mean? Like, I don't think it necessarily means he's going to start the next game. I think it's probably more of a day-by-day basis, regardless of how much he's playing right now.
Well, let me ask you this. Like, if it's tomorrow and Will Smith starts and he comes up with runners on second and third and 2 outs in the second inning, and you could choose in that moment if you want Will Smith or Ben Rortvedt in that spot, who do you want in that spot?
I don't know. I don't know if Will Smith again I don't feel his hand, so I don't know exactly what that is.
Yeah.
If he's really just trying to gut it out, I don't know that he's better than a guy who has feeling in both of his hands.
Yeah.
And
Matt,
so
who would you take in that spot, Matt?
I'm taking Will Smith. Anthony brings up fair points, and it is a fair question. I am under the assumption, and it is an assumption, that Will Smith can at least do some sort of damage if he is at this point. Like, I think hitting kind of came easiest or quicker before, like, gripping and throwing a baseball back. So that's encouraging. I think, though, the other layer to hitting is we just mentioned all the time that he's been out. And now you're throwing him into, playoff at-bats against quality starting pitching, quality relievers. So there's no guarantee. Like, it's not an easy scenario to pick back up in. I still would take my chances probably with needing a hit type thing. I mean, Jeff, I was going to jokingly ask how many outs because Rortvedt will drop down the sacrifice bunt for you.
Totally.
But
bunter.
I think I probably still would take Will Smith with the caveat that I assume his hand is like healthy enough that if he can run into one. Like, a home run isn't completely out of the question right now. And that is an assumption. So we're kind of working with the best, info that we have publicly.
Yeah. And if that's fair, I mean, if he is in fact healthy enough to do that kind of thing, then I'm fine. I'm fine. My other concern is, like, with Blake Snell on the mound, and if Will Smith does start and he's the catcher, how many stolen bases are the Phillies going to try to go and get? Because Snell's already bad at holding guys on, and if Will Smith can't grip a baseball hard enough to throw it with real velocity, it may be a free-for-all in the bags.
And they didn't attempt to say. I mean, Will Smith caught 4-5 innings basically, right? Because he pinch hit in the top of the 5th, and there were no attempted steals in the second half of last game, which is surprising to me.
I wonder if
there weren't a ton of guys on either, and then when they did, it was like walking a bunch of dudes.
Fair.
Yeah, I'd have to. Yeah, I was gonna say I'd have to look back at when the Phillies it didn't feel like they had a ton of traffic throughout that night, and then
so Harrison Bader got on with 1 out, and then Stott singled on the second pitch. So he had one pitch to steal there, and Bader obviously his status seems uncertain, but. Yeah, I guess Real Muto was another guy, but he's probably past his base stealing days, so it could be some of that.
And it wasn't Snell on the mound. I think it's the combination of the two things also.
Got it. Yeah. Okay. Well, we'll see. Something to monitor. Honestly, I think it's good news that we're even having this conversation.
100%. 100%.
Yeah, that is true, and I honestly I think it was just kind of a lot of public posturing from Dave. Like, it wouldn't shock me if they just stick to, hey, Rortvedt starting, and then we'll put in Will Smith again.
The old rope-a-dope?
Yeah, to finish, the second half of the game. And it wouldn't shock me if that's kind of the plan that they stick with moving forward, at least for this round, short of, season is on the line. Okay, now, we need, a full game of Will Smith type thing.
300 saying his top hand was flying off the bat. It was for sure bothering him. So there you go. He has, and I mean, the one thing I was thinking, by the way, Matt, he hasn't had a rehab appearance. He's had the live batting practice they've done twice, which is not the same as a rehab appearance, but from like actually swinging a bat against, I mean, if you consider Kirby Yates major league pitching, then, that counts as sort of
Kirby catching strays.
Yeah. And Ben Casparius, who I thought should have been on the roster. You didn't like that one, Matt? That's going to go. That's going to kill in the chat. For sure, that one's going to kill. That's like the best joke. Like, there's not a single person in here that didn't like that joke because everybody's like agrees. Nobody's like, actually, Kirby Yates, that person doesn't exist. Spot the lie. So I got.
Are you sure that person doesn't exist? There was somebody in our lives telling us that Kirby Yates was a generational addition for the Dodgers.
Are you saying in our lives or in the group chat?
In our life, like in your life, in my life. There was somebody. Yes, there was somebody telling us that.
Jay Teaser says you start Ben because if you start Smith and he's batting in the middle of the order, it really hurts him if you have to take him out. Perfect. I think if Smith is in the order, I wouldn't be surprised if he's just batting like towards the bottom anyways. Would you, Matt? Like if Smith is in, do you think he's higher than 7th?
I was going to say 6th, maybe. I'd have to look. I mean, it depends on, are we going to get into the Alex Call, Max Muncy stuff? Like that. I think 6th, 7th-ish is probably safe. I mean, he's not 4th. Well, so, I mean, you could set the top 4. Like, it's going to be the same 4 because it's a lefty. Like, the Dodgers have that set. So, I guess that like, is it? I forgot who hit 5th. Was it Pages who hit
Edmund.
5th? Oh,
Edmund was 5th. Kike was 6th. Like, I think he's Call, Pages, Rortvedt. I think he's in that 7.
That's probably fair. I forgot about Kike.
And okay, so this is my thing too. If you don't think that he's well enough to hit like 5th, should he be in there anyway?
I wonder if some of that though is more just like timing type thing. Like you don't necessarily want him batting 5th just yet, but if he's at the bottom of the lineup after the top half has maybe stressed a pitcher, maybe there's a couple guys on, the situations are different. Like, I don't know. I mean, it's a fair point. It's a fair point.
I mean, we're comparing. The thing is like, Anthony, to answer your question, the question is he better than Ben Rortvedt offensively right now? Not like, if he's not ready to bat 5th, then I don't want him in the game at all. It's like, if he's better than Ben Rortvedt offensively and you think he has a better chance of helping you on that side of the ball, then I think he should be in.
And I think we don't know that. So
totally.
Yeah, I see what you're saying. I do. But like, if you're hitting him 7th because you're not sure that he's got the timing, or that maybe he's still a little hurt, and so you don't, maybe if you hit him lower in the order, that spot's not going to get spotlighted with 2 guys on, and you know what I mean? Like, 1, you're probably wrong. That situation's going to find you.
Yeah.
But 2, if you do got a guy on 1st and 2nd, let's say, and nobody's out, do I not want Ben Rortvedt up there moving those guys over?
Oh, Matt, Matt wants, Matt likes
that. And I'm not a bunting guy, but if we're looking at a 65% of Will Smith versus, Ben Rortvedt, who can get a job done like that, I don't know that I want the 65% of Will Smith in there.
But I think the point is, like, when we talk about Ben Rortvedt, the offensive, like the contribution he is making has largely been that. And so the question is, 1st and 2nd, nobody out. Would you rather have Will Smith up knowing he's going to be swinging the bat, or Ben Rortvedt up knowing he's going to be trying to lay down a bunt? It's an interesting question.
Yeah, and I think I have to know what Will Smith I'm getting.
Yeah, and that's the mystery here. So, all right. Did we already do this one? If it really hurts if you have to take my brain went somewhere else. So, all right, let's get to some questions, all caps questions, and I'll start with one of my own. Everybody knows my take on this heading into game number 1, but I'm curious, Matt, I'll start with you. Is Max Muncy or Alex Call starting game 2 for you? Because it's all lefties in this one.
Oh, man. I think
he went one for one with a walk, I believe, was Alex Call's final line.
Yeah, that's correct. I think Muncy gets back in there. I think the Call one was specific to, he had the 2 home runs off Sanchez. Do you happen to have his stats against?
He was 2 for 10 against Sanchez with 2 homers.
But do you have his stats against Lazardo by any chance up with you? So as you're pulling that up, like, I want, if it's another scenario where like he's had some success like that, then it wouldn't shock me if Call is back in the lineup. But I think that I would probably just roll the dice with Muncy, even though I know
Alex calls 1 for 5 with a double and a strikeout against Lazardo.
then he's going to be in the lineup.
Okay, so he's got Alex Call in the lineup. Anthony?
I'm fine with that.
But I'm asking what you would do.
I would start Call.
Okay.
Muncy just does not look comfortable.
Yeah. And he didn't come in
like typically I'm fine with Muncy getting the lefty-lefty matchup, like the normal, I think healthy, possibly clear-headed Muncy.
Oh, yeah, no doubt.
But he's not looked good since he's returned.
Yeah. 0 for 2. Max Muncy was yesterday. Almost made a great
the quality of at bat is more what I'm thinking of too.
Yeah. Look, I made my view clear. It didn't pan out well for me in game 1. It's hard for me to believe they're just not going to start Max Muncy in this series. And maybe that I just need to get over the mental block. And it's hard for me to believe that Roki Sasaki is the closer, although that's easy for me to believe nowadays. But we'll see. Again, Alex Call did what he was asked to do in game number 1. He came up twice and got on base twice. So kudos to him. And as I've said, I hope I'm wrong about that.
And like the way they played it there, like I don't think that just means that you don't see Max Muncy. Like there can still be a time and a place for Max Muncy to come in.
Yeah, and they found it, and he was 0 for 2, and so that'll be the other interesting thing is so do they hesitate? Do they bring him in more slowly, knowing that it was 0 for 2? Although flip side is he played good defense at third base. Freddie couldn't dig the ball, but made a great stop, so he had that going for him.
I wonder if maybe tomorrow. Dave did mention that he wants to get Rope when he was discussing Muncy's role at bat starts and all that stuff. He did mention that he wants to get Rojas in the lineup for one of these games. So maybe that's tomorrow instead of Call type thing.
Yeah.
Muncy 0 for 2 with 2 walks against Lazardo in his career, by the way. So for those that were wondering, let's see. Miguel Rojas, while we're here, 2 for 7 with the strikeout and a pair of singles for Miggy Ross. So there you go. Tommy Edman, why not? While we're here, 2 for 11 with a double and a triple and 3 strikeouts. There you go. Shout out to our friends at RotoWire for hooking us up with the verse batter stats there. All right. Cordenas asks, does Roki pitch in back-to-back games? It's worth pointing out back-to-back games does not mean back-to-back days in the case of games 1, 2, and 3 with off days before and after game 2. Game 3 and 4 would be back-to-back days, but it sounds the Dodgers have pitched him twice in 3 days. Yes. So, Matt, my assumption is Roki Sasaki is available to pitch in both game 2 and game 3 if needed in both of those situations. That would be 3 times in 5 days, but never more than twice in 3 days.
Yeah, I'm not
to do math. I'm sorry, that's on me.
No, that's fine. No, that's fine. I'm not as confident in him pitching being available both games. I think they would do one of the games.
Okay. There we go. Wants to know, Anthony, do you think any of our starters are going to give up more than 3 runs a game? All of our starters are great, but our lineup is by far the best of all teams, expecting them to be in a position to win every game. What do you think? I mean, to ask every starter to never have a bad start seems like it's a lot to ask. And yet, if you're asking me to say which one of Snell and Yamamoto is going to be bad, like my answer is neither. So what do you think, Anthony? Can the Dodgers do this with dominant starting pitching from start to finish?
Yeah, it's why I thought they still had as good a chance as anybody coming into the playoffs. I think eventually you'll get a not great stat line when a guy's all finished. And I say that meaning over the course of the postseason. I don't think it comes tomorrow. So look, I think that they have a real opportunity here to do some historic things from a starting rotation standpoint in October. And from a run prevention number, I think they can absolutely go like a long playoff run. Let's say 6 games into the NLCS at worst as a sample size and have a starting rotation ERA sub 3.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think the part for me that makes me feel better is I've seen all these guys do it. Like sometimes you have very good pitchers and you're like, I don't know what it's going to look like on this stage. Like when they go into Philadelphia, what are they going to look like? In this case, I'm like, we've seen it with Snell. We've seen it with Yamamoto. Heck, we've seen it with Glasnow. And now we've seen it with Otani. And so I'm not worried about the moment being too big for them. Like Hunter Green, very good pitcher. I was like, he's really good. He also I don't think he's going to respond well to this moment. I don't think he's going to be firing on all cylinders. And I'm not saying that's exactly what happened, but there was at least reason to be skeptical there. Charlie Tom says, I have family in Seattle, so I don't want to jinx anything, but it would be nice to see a Mariners-Dodgers World Series. I will say I'm rooting for the Mariners. First playoff win since 2001, by the way. So if you want to, I always tell people as a Dodgers fan, I have perspective being surrounded by Mariners fans up here in Portland. They hadn't won a playoff game in 24 years. Just think about that. Insane. My fear is I don't want to be surrounded by people that are rooting for the team the Dodgers are playing. It's fair. Why if I'm surrounded by Padres fans, I hate them, or Giants fans or whatever. So good luck to the Mariners. If the Dodgers don't win the World Series and don't make the World Series, I hope the Mariners win it all. That's absolutely the second team I am rooting for. However, if the Dodgers make it, I want nothing to do with the Mariners. I don't want to be surrounded by Mariners fans. I don't want people coming up and talking to me about it. I want none of that in my life. So there you go. Anthony, do you have a second team that it's like, if it's not going to be the Dodgers, I hope it is ...
It's the Mariners. I like those guys. I like Castillo. I like Rodriguez. I like Crawford. I like those guys. They got a cool stadium. I love that ballpark. I would very much welcome that World Series because I think the Dodgers are better than them. But if the Dodgers happen to get knocked out, and I do continue to pay attention to baseball for the rest of October, I'll be a Mariners. I'll be rooting for the Mariners.
Matt's got a big dumper jersey on, from what I've heard. Not on, excuse me. It's tucked away.
No, man, you guys are soft. If the Dodgers don't win the World Series, then that's it. There's no rooting for another team to do it.
I mean, I'm not going to have a choice. I'm with Anthony. I don't watch playoff baseball.
I won't watch it. Yeah.
So, but I might watch it if the Mariners, because I have friends who have literally never seen their franchise be relevant, like in their entire lives, that are my age. So, poor Mariners fans. Aaron wants to know, has your series prediction changed? Well, Matt's changed live on the show today. That was amazing. We all watched it happen. Anthony, has yours changed? Aaron said Dodgers in 4. He thinks outside chance of a sweep.
I think that's where my head's at. My prediction of Dodgers in 4, I think is probably still where I would lean. But again, I thought that game 1 was the game they should have lost, and they won it. And they now have significant pitching matchups in the next 2 games. I think a sweep is absolutely on the table.
Matt, do you want to change your prediction again?
I don't know. I said that Dodgers in 5. I remember saying that my head is saying, or my gut, I forgot how, I think it was my gut was saying Dodgers in 5.
We'll get IT on that. We'll get that circling.
I will say here, I'll say if the Dodgers win tomorrow, they're sweeping.
Okay, there we go.
I think it's I do think like it'll be done.
Anthony, Noisy Ninja asks, I heard something about Buehler giving Phillies coaches tips on Dodgers hitters. What could he really give them?
Nothing that they don't already know.
Yeah, exactly. It's like the research nowadays, Buehler does not have honestly, pitching for the Dodgers, he might have less information than guys who have actually faced them. Like being a pitcher is not watching film on his own hitters. He's not preparing to face those guys. So in a weird way, he might have the least information. Also, good luck. That would probably be my advice if I was Walker Buehler. Good luck with Shohei Otani. Freddie Freeman can hit anything in any direction, and Mookie's just hitting lasers everywhere. TQT asks, Matt, Lazardo has good numbers versus the Dodgers. 3.1 ERA, 34. Well, actually, I'll ask Anthony. In 34 innings, why is Anthony so confident they'll get to Lazardo? You mentioned the season-long numbers are like 3.9. Yeah. I believe the Dodgers have. I think he pitched. He's the one guy. I'd have to go back and check. I believe he faced them twice, and once he had the only good start any Phillies starter had against the Dodgers. He also gave up, I believe, 4 earned runs the second time he saw them.
Yeah, I think you just answered the question for TQT there. A 3.10 ERA in 34 innings isn't dominating a team, and they got to him last time. So, yeah, he doesn't have anywhere near the stuff that Sanchez has. So I think with this offense, the way it's moving right now, I think they can get to just about anybody. And also, I think because Blake Snell's on the bump, and I think if you can get that guy 4 runs, it might be lights out for the Phillies.
Yeah. Jose asks, based on the Will Smith conversation, if we're talking about a questionable bat and questionable defense, why not start rushing? I like how someone put it, dance with the girl you brought. Give me Ben. I think there's a difference between Will Smith and Dalton rushing. I don't think questionable, like rushing is as good defensively as Will Smith is. But I think the sentiment here, Matt, is kind of what we've said. Here's another question from Derek. Which would you prefer, guaranteed Ben Rortvedt floor or uncertain Will Smith's ceiling? Again, this is kind of the question we are answering, right? Like Ben Rortvedt, you're expecting nothing offensively, and if you get anything, it's like found money. Whereas defensively, game calling, you feel good. Will Smith feels like more of a wild card. Are they going to run on him? Are they not going to run on him? Is he going to hit for power that Ben Rortvedt isn't going to hit for? Or is he going to be a zero offensively? Like, I think the range of outcomes with Smith, Matt, is way wider versus Rortvedt. Even if the ceiling is very low, you just kind of feel more comfortable knowing what you're getting.
Yeah, and I think that's why, ultimately they'll end up just starting Rortvedt again in game 2 and then going to Smith at that point and then sort of, trying to buy him a little extra time here day by day. And if they get into a scenario where, their season is on the line, then, okay, like at this point, like we probably do just need Will Smith in the lineup at that point.
Yeah. Cordanas wants to know, Anthony, how are you feeling about Mookie and Freddie so far in the playoffs? Mookie, 429 average, 467 on base, 643 slug. Freddie, 270 average, 430 on base, 360 in the slugging department.
Yeah. Totally love where Mookie's at. No need to discuss that further. Freddie has looked a little iffy for me. He's clearly hurt. He's dragging that leg around everywhere. And so there's no doubt it's impacting him on both sides. But some of the at-bat quality, like it's interesting because he's such a model of consistency. But I think in this little stretch here, the at-bat quality has just kind of gone like this. Like some nights he'll give you back-to-back, like really good at-bats, maybe draw a walk or something like that, get a guy over. And then other times he just looks like he's got no chance. So that inconsistency from him is a little bit, it's interesting to see, and we're not used to it, but feel really, really high on Mookie and a little iffy on what Freddie's given him. Not that I think he needs to be out of the lineup because I think he can pop it at any time, but just not as confident with Freddie right now.
Yeah, there you go. Okay. Couple of related questions for you, Matt. Jake wants to know, is Roki number 1 in Dave Roberts' trust tree right now? And Norm wants to know, what's the likelihood we don't see Tanner Scott at all this series on a scale of 1 to 10? So is Roki number 1 in Dave's trust tree, do you think?
I don't think he's quite number 1 yet. I think he's...
Do you think it's like Trine and Vesia depending on matchup and then Roki's third?
Yes,
okay.
Pretty much. So he's he's definitely top 3, might even be top 2.
Do you think we see Tanner Scott in this series? 10 being absolutely we see him, 1 being no chance.
I think it's at like a 3. I mean, he's rested, so he's available to them. And I think it'll just honestly depend on how the starters continue. Like if the starters keep giving them length, then it makes it easier on Dave Roberts to not have to go to Tanner Scott with the off days we were discussing in the schedule. If the series ends up going 5 though, like I think, he gets into a game at some point.
My gut, Matt, you tell me if you disagree. My gut is that Tanner Scott would still be used ahead of both Clayton Kershaw and Anthony Banda. And that was reflected in the decision in the wild card round. I'm not saying I would. I'm just saying the fact that he was on the wild card roster, those two guys were off. It feels to me if they need a lefty that he would be behind Dreyer and Vesia, but ahead of Kershaw and Banda. Do you agree?
I think definitely ahead of Kershaw just because I'm not really sure. And Dave, again, he was asked about Kershaw's role today and he said, I could see him if a starter has a short outing for some reason and we need some length, and we can go to Kershaw. If it's goes into extra innings and we can use him there. He said basically, and then various roles was how, he kind of quoted it for Kershaw. So I think Scott is ahead of Kershaw just because I'm not sure if they really, frankly, I don't know if they really want to use Kershaw. It sort of seems like, but I think Banda is ahead of Scott, especially with the Phillies specifically, because we did see him, remember, as an opener too. So they clearly like something. It didn't work out well for the Dodgers, but they like how Banda matches up with them in some regard.
Well, and Devin says this, Anthony, which I think lends itself to what Matt is saying. In a 2-0 series, if we're about to win game 3, do they use Glasnow to close it out and go with Sheehan or Kershaw in game 4? And this is, I think Kershaw is the break glass in case of emergency guy who's just floating around as an insurance policy for them to be able to use Tyler Glasnow however they want. Now, Dave has said he's like, I forget what exactly his language was, but it was something like, I can't see a world where we use Tyler Glasnow in relief the entire series, something along those lines. again, if you want to believe what Dave Roberts says at these press conferences, then you would find yourself in a different place than the three of us. But I do feel like Kershaw is maybe just there in case of, well, man, maybe if we do want to go to Glasnow in game 2 or game 3, well, we have Kershaw sitting right there and he can just start game 4. Or Glasnow maybe can only give us 3 innings in game 4 and it's a piggyback situation and we're going to ask Kershaw to go get 3. It feels to me like that might be Kershaw's role, Anthony.
I could see it. I think in that situation, given that they've used Glasnow in game 1, that they may go to Sheehan instead of Glasnow in that kind of situation. And just in case that game, they don't win that game, then you get Glasnow for game 4 still.
Yeah. There you go. There you go. Shelly says, Dodgers have the look. Go Dodgers. Hopefully I can sleep tonight. 3 o'clock is going to come early tomorrow. Derek wants to know, why does this chat not care about the Patriots score? Goes without saying. Nobody likes the Patriots. Well, one person does, but mostly nobody likes the Patriots. Richard's going to get us out of here on a food question. If the quality of I think he's saying a high quality Philly cheesesteak versus the quality of a double-double, a pastrami from the hat, or a Tommy's double chili cheeseburger to determine this. Oh, okay. I see. If it's cheesesteak versus LA foods, which one would we go with here? I think is what he's saying. Like LA is represented by the double-double, the hat, and Tommy's versus a cheesesteak. Matt? I mean, you said Phillies in 5, so you could say the Philly cheesesteak here. I mean, I think you'd be consistent.
A Philly cheesesteak is very, like, when you
Top
find
tier?
a good one, like, they're good. They can be messed up, though, is the hard
totally.
part.
They're
So
not hard to make, though.
See, but here, Matt, I can't imagine. You're probably not like a original Philly cheesesteak with Cheese Whiz guy, right? Like, I can't see you. You seem a little too bougie for Cheese Whiz.
I've never had one with Cheese Whiz.
Would you eat it?
I would try it. I don't know if I would end up like preferring it to like just a melted cheese in it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think I'm going cheesesteak at the pastrami from the hat. I'm on record, so that one's out right away. I'll do the cheesesteak.
You don't like the pastrami from the hat,
No, it's
right?
terrible. No, it's terrible. Like go to a real deli and get some pastrami sandwiches, and then go have the hat, and you'll know what I'm talking about. The cheesesteak wins for me too because it's a bigger sandwich. Typically, like it's.
I mean, compared to
you need quantity, huh?
Yeah, Tommy's double chili cheeseburger, though. Anthony, what do you think? How does the cheesesteak stack up with a double-double, a double chili cheeseburger, and a great pastrami sandwich?
I understand the double-double from a standpoint of like those both the cheesesteak and the double-double are iconic in their parts of the country. But like we're in LA, like if I want pastrami, like there's places in New York that might have better pastrami than there are in LA. Like, can I get a taco place?
Yeah.
Dropped in there.
That was a conversation. I can't remember if it was me and you, Anthony, or me and Matt.
No,
which was
you
like,
and I. Yeah.
what
Can
would
I
the
get
food
like a
representative be in
Carnitas
LA?
El Momo or something like that thrown in there? Because then LA wins all day. Because
Did you say-
cheesesteaks are not hard.
What'd you say? Carnitas what?
El Momo. I think it's
What's
in
that?
Boyle Heights.
Oh, okay. From a specific place. Got it.
Yeah. But like in general, like street tacos in LA versus like a Philly cheesesteak, like I'll take the tacos.
Matt? Tacos versus cheesesteak.
It depends on where the tacos are coming from. At
What
that
about
point,
El Momo?
and I need to know. Well, I haven't
But
had
doesn't that the same for the cheesesteak as well?
Yeah, so I would have to know like where the cheesesteak's coming from, where the tacos are coming from, and then I'm deciding.
Okay, Pat's and your favorite taco spot.
Pat's is like one of the two famous.
I know,
Philly
but I
cheesesteaks.
feel like so there it's Pat's and is it Geno's that are right across from each other, and then I feel like there's always people that say like, no, those are the tourist ones. Here's the best one. So I need to do my own research. I need to get out to Philadelphia at some point, go on a Philly cheesesteak tour, and then I could appropriately
I've had
answer
both.
that question. Okay, so which out of those two which one did you think was better?
There are better spots in Philadelphia
Yeah,
than
see?
both of those.
So like that's what, like I feel like I would get like you have to kind of try those, right? Because they're known, but then you then need to find like the more local establishments.
I was
Laura's
asking
asking
NL East beat when I had both of those, and then by the time I made my second trip to Philly, the other guys were like, "No, go here."
Laura's questioning me calling you bougie, Matt. Is that an unfair label, do you think, when it comes to your food preferences?
Yes, I am absolutely a man of the people of our staff. The people are with me, I think, the most. It's like 67% of the time at least.
That's because you control the narrative way too much. The rest of us don't control the narrative about our own food takes.
I don't know what you're referencing.
Yeah. All right. Speaking of Philly cheesesteaks, Anthony, I've heard the visitors clubhouse. Do beat guys get to eat in there? Because they say the Philly cheesesteaks in the clubhouse are good. Do you have any reporting on that?
Don't get to eat in there, but yeah, I've heard the same thing. I've heard that they're pretty good there.
Okay. Steven Nelson, that was my first question to him. I was like, game one aside, let's start with how many Philly cheesesteaks have we had? He said he's behaving himself. He hasn't had any. So I didn't know if I should be impressed or disappointed. But he did get mad at me at the end of the interview for not asking him a food question yet. I reminded him I literally started the interview with the food question, but we came up with some food talk at the end as well. So check that out tomorrow morning. Steven Nelson interview, as well as Scott will be live at noon. He texted me noon tomorrow on game day. He will be live. Game starts at 3. So go ahead and set your schedules for that. As always, subscribe here, ring the notification bell, and you will get the information when that comes available. That is Matthew Moreno. That is Anthony Witrado. I am Jeff Spiegel. Stick around on the YouTube channel to get all of Dave Roberts' comments, the Phillies manager comments, as well as some other interviews that are posted on our YouTube page. Check out DodgerBlue.com for all the latest. And get ready. 3 o'clock tomorrow. We will be live post-game. I will have to miss again. The East Coast schedule is screwing me up. But who's live tomorrow, Matt? Is it you and Anthony?
No, I think it'll either be me and Daniel, or maybe we'll have Blake and Daniel doing it. We'll sort that out, but we'll definitely be here for you guys as soon as
someone will be here, and then I will be back for game 3, which definitely will be happening. Hopefully there's no game 4. Hopefully the Dodgers sweep.
Yeah,
that'll be that. Enjoy the rest of your night, everyone. As always, go Dodgers, and yes, still champs.